Everybody, thanks for watching. And just a quick reminder that the lecture at UNLV on the Gospel of Hip Hop is now available on Merkabah Academy. Make sure Never Pagan members scroll down to Never Pagan section in conscious courses, and the video should be right there at the top. Thanks to everybody who checked it out, and a lot of questions about the video. And it's long. It's a lot of stuff we got into, a lot of stuff we couldn't get into. So make sure you guys check the video out. But part of the reason why we're doing this video to get into just a lot of questions people had about things we didn't talk about. One of the things we didn't really get into is just the consciousness aspect of hip hop, and so many different terms. But one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about the industry, of course, and we all see this throughout social media, all of the memes and everything on the pineal gland and just the whole, esoteric part of hip hop that people call, devil worship and scary, spooky, or what have you. And there's a lot of just, information out there that, points you in different directions. And a lot of it is based on what you believe in. So a lot of people who are Christians don't understand like algorithms and how stuff work and how you are being fed certain feeds or certain information based on your searches or what you show to follow and believe in. So if it's Christianity, a lot of your searches and information you pick up on online is going to be geared towards that belief, So if you're on social media constantly looking up stuff, especially on YouTube, that is pro-Christian, you're going to get a lot of pro-Christian results and stuff that's going to, go towards what you believe in. And it's why you have to be biased, unbiased in your research. And not be biased in your research so you can get both sides of the coin, yin and yang, so you can understand both sides, not the sides that's going to feed your ego and what you want to believe. So you got to understand a lot of this stuff is nonsense, and you know it to be nonsense. That's why you have conflict within yourself about, this whole subject. So we're going to get into this because it's deep, just understanding what the pineal gland is, understanding what all of this so-called satanic worship stuff stems from and how deep it is and how far it go back. So this is going to be a pretty good video on, a lot of the stuff I touched on, but I want to touch on a few things that people just don't understand. And, we go back to the ancient Egyptians, and the reason why so many people revere them and study them more than any other people on the planet in history is because they knew so much about the body. So a lot of the things we see with, secret societies, especially the Masons, how we see this stuff go back to the ancient Egyptians is because they knew so much. And with this subject, pineal gland, we can go all the way back to the Sumerians or what have you as well. And we can see that they had this understanding and this knowledge about the pineal gland long before anything biblical, before established religions. And it's a part of you. It's the body. It's something you shouldn't be scared of because you use it all the time, every day. And it's something that a lot of people just have this fear when people talk about opening the third eye and how people associate that with this satanic devil worship stuff. And you use it. You're literally using it right now. And you use it every day. And it's something that's so normal and natural. But we have to understand what took place and how knowledge has become taboo. Knowledge has become forbidden. I touched on this before, how they took everything that was normal, common knowledge, or, knowledge that would be considered esoteric or taught in the mystery schools, and they made it, demonic or, evil or what have you. And it's something that is stuff that we should know about, and you got to understand why they don't want you to know about this stuff. So now to do this, we're going to go back to the Age of Enlightenment, because this is where in modern times we can say, this is where this stuff kind of stems from. And even the Bible talks about the Age of Enlightenment and ways and how it influenced the church, and it really changed the world, and people just don't have no clue. And we go back to the French Revolution, and the French Revolution is huge, and it's big on what would happen and what would take place in America and how they will basically change the world and change the way they deal with societies. So I talked about this before on how you had monarchies, you had kingdoms, and how they was controlling the people. So if you look at the papacy, Catholicism, and Catholic Church, and how they established their rule after the Crusades, And civilizations was ruled and basically based on Christianity throughout Europe and, Christian values. And you had, Puritans, of course, Protestants, you had these philosophers who was, a lot of people was in opposition to the church and just the way they was pushing their influence on society. Because let's keep it real, the stuff they're talking about is just, it was too much faith, too much doctrine involved in society into smart people was nonsense. Now, in the late 18th century, they didn't have, 1790s, they didn't have the kind of influence that they have today with the visualization of Christianity and everything like that. So people were way more smarter. They were more enlightened. So in France, not only did you have just the economy doing so bad, yeah, Louis XVI, who had no clue what he was doing, treating the people bad, trying to raise taxes, and it was just a monarchy going wrong, trying to use its rule, over the people. And you had people, so many philosophers who really was the cause of the French Revolution because they influenced the middle class back then with their enlightenment, with, them just putting out sensible, easy solutions. And like everybody around them is like, well, why isn't this, this rulership implementing these simple things that can clearly help the people? So you had the French Revolution, and what happened to Louis XVI? Guillotine, off with his head, cut his head off. And about 9 months later, did the same thing to Marie Antoinette. Cut her head off in the same place. So this was just a big eye opener to the powers that be. And up until this point, their plan had worked. They had established themselves around the world with these monarchies, and they had things under control religious wise, because we got to look at how we can go back and see. I mean, everything was just, saturated with religion. Everything you did, everywhere you go, religion, religion, religion. And you had these philosophers, these educated people that were just like, no, this is bullshit. Why are we doing stuff based off of things that's not proven? This is bullshit. Why are we running our society based on this religion, faith, or what have you? This is bullshit. We could be growing as a people, but we're stuck in this dogma and this arguments about stupid shit. And this isn't the direction that we should go into. And then on top of that, it's not helping us economically. It's poverty and it's social issues. It was problems that was, in the French society back then that they just didn't see religion helping. And of course, they're saying, well, shit, y'all praying to this God and this God's supposed to be helping y'all. Why are we having these issues? And this God who is basically, saturated throughout society is doing nothing. Why are we having these issues? We should stick to science. Understand? Because they wanted society to be ruled by natural law, by, science, experiments, observation. This is how we're going to come to a conclusion. And this is how we're going to rule society based on these principles, not faith, belief, and this bullshit we can't prove. So they were able to influence the people enough to cause a revolt, a freaking revolution, civil war, and, kill a king and queen. Think about this. So, of course, the powers that be is like, oh, shit, because, France has never had a king again since Louis XVI. That was the end of the monarchy. So in France. So, of course, everything had to change, once that happened. We're talking about 1793 is when they killed Louis the 16th. So French Revolution happened. Of course, this is after the American Revolution. We had these two revolutions happen. You understand what's taking place. You have the American Revolution happening here. And then you have the French Revolution, years later. So to the powers that be, it's a complete change. And the power, the dominance they spent, hundreds of years to establish, it's going away. It's falling. So something has to change. So we got to look at, as I was saying, how we go from this, religion being saturated in society to just all of a sudden religion is like, we say we do stuff on Christian values, but we don't. Society's not really based on religion if you look around, but it was before. So they can't really harp on it as much as they did back then, even though they tried to. But it was the age of enlightenment. People were smarter and it changed things. So then society, the new, ruling class had to change. And it just took time. Same thing in America, same thing over there in France, to where they can get power. So we know what happened in America with the banking system. And excuse me, I got to go through this to get to the, pineal and all that stuff. So I'm just giving you this history. So we know what happened in America with the banking system taking over, as I talk about, and basically the same thing in France, but not at first. What really took France, we know, is World War II, because we still had this domination of the, philosophers, kind of sort of scientists, and this whole ideology of just stuff being right and working correctly, not the stupid way we see with the way the government do things now. It shouldn't be this hard for a society of educated people to function and have things work for everybody. So with Hitler coming into France, I mean, you got to think about that. It's crazy, for him to invade such a, prominent country, powerful country, we would think. But Hitler's invaded. And while, later we're talking about a new world order and everything is this new world order, in France back then, they was trying to establish a new civil order, but that would be to the benefit of the people. So we had this new civil order trying to be established, even going back to French Revolution, and here comes Hitler. And then, they bomb all the key places and they basically take over. So when we have basically the new world order of Europe, which is what basically took place out of World War II, it's basically a new world order with Europe, and everything is changed. Everything's different after that. So the position that the people were in to be able to take control of the country and establish themselves this new civil order that was going to be based on, just enlightenment and just common sense and science and things that would have took the society way further, that was halted, that was stopped. The country was devastated. And, World War II changed that, and it was part of the job of Hitler. So fast forward, all that happened. Obviously, they can't allow this to happen again. So we have to take control of the growth of knowledge that's taking place throughout society. So of course, eventually they would take control of schools. That's why school fell under government. We got to think about that before you can pass knowledge down throughout your family. They made us so lazy because they put us in a system that's, relying on you to have a job. You have to have a job to function in society. Job is going to take you away from your kids. It's crazy for us to be a people that's together and we all in this together. And it's so easy for us to be in society and have it function, opposite from what it is. Why do we have a money system that is divisive? We're not going to be a people united if we have a money system. It shouldn't be that way. If we're truly together, then we should work together. Imagine, being in your house and you're home with your kids, but you're making your kids go to work and buy food, and they got to pay for every little thing they do. They got to pay to use the bathroom. They got to pay to watch TV. It's going to be problems in their household. It's like, well, you're growing and you have to do this, so let me do what I got to do to make money. Or we can all work together in this house. You can do this, you can do that. It'll be beneficial to us all, and there is no money involved. We just doing what we need to do as a household so the household can function, and then there's no problems. Everybody is happy. We do what we got to do. We take care of each other in a way that it should be. If 5 of you ended up on a desert island somewhere, you're going to have to work together in order to survive. You can't say, well, if you want one of these coconuts, you got to give me some money, because you might need them for something else. So a money system, that's why they say money is the root of all evil. It's evil. It's just an evil system that divides the people, and that's what they want. So we go to the Bible. And of course, people just can't fathom that pineal is in the Bible. Genesis 32:30, Jacob said, called the name of the place Pineal, seeing God face to face and all that, even though the Bible says nobody has ever seen God. So what is Jacob talking about? He's seen the face of God. The name of the place is called Pineal. So it's clearly talking about the pineal gland. Okay. So we have to establish, what this is. And a lot of people don't understand how much they knew about the pineal gland back then. Of course, the ancient Egyptians knew about it. Sumerians knew about it. We see the symbolism all throughout the Vatican with the pine cone, or even with the Egyptians with the serpent. If we look at a pine cone, the scales on a serpent, when a snake resembles a pine cone, same thing with a fish. It has these scales, right? So it's talking about the pineal gland, and the pineal gland being so powerful So, Rene Descartes called it, the seat of the soul. That's where they came from. That's a Frenchman during this whole time with the French Revolution and all this enlightenment happening in France. And it's esoteric to where you can understand it being God and just this whole connection that it has with the sun, because there's only two, organs in our body that basically, detects light, and that would be your eyes and the pineal gland. So with these celebrities, covering up the eye and everything like that, the third eye and all the symbolism and everything, and people see as satanic, of course, they're going to want that to be evil. Anything they don't want you to know or understand, they put under this influence of it being satanic and evil. So when you see all that, people are automatically associated with it being evil. But then they look in the Bible, and we know it's talking about third eye, it's talking about the pineal gland. We see pineal in the Bible being associated with God. And then these rappers calling themselves gods and wearing crosses because they understand the esoteric connection to the third eye and God and what all that means. It's them symbolically saying, I understand what's going on. I understand my part and my role in all this. And it's deeper than, just that. So we see all this. We see the connection, third eye, Egyptian mythology, Egyptian symbolism, I should say. And we see it, even Michael Jackson, Kanye West, a lot of artists, we see this ancient Egyptian symbolism, just them showing you, the connection, that they understand what's going on. So the pineal gland is so powerful. It's the key to the limbic system. So the amygdala, the hypothalamus, and the hippocampus, right? So you would have the hypothalamus basically deals with your emotional energy, your hormones, whatever, your emotions. And the hippocampus would be basically, your connection to the world around you, your memories, and just the connection to your surroundings, your atmosphere, hippocampus, campus. What is a campus? You go to school, you're on campus, and it's your hippocampus is dealing with your environment, the world around you, and how you react to it, So your amygdala would deal with basically your connection with the world around you emotionally, how you process that emotionally. So this is all in the brain. It's all dealing with the limbic system that is connected with the third eye, and how the third eye is a big major factor in these emotions that's wrapped up with your limbic system and how all of this functions. So think about what I'm talking about and how this third eye is basically regulating the world around you, how you feel, how you're going to act and think and what have you. It's being regulated through this. So your third eye really also deals with your creativity. So it's wrapped up in all that. So just as an artist, a musician, you're being creative. The satanic part of that is, what was Satan's job in heaven? He was basically the the choir director, you might as well say. They said that in the Bible would talk about, musical instruments being built in his being and everything like that. And he basically played the music that assembled the angels to God to hear God's word or what have you. So this is that connection, but it has to do with creativity and just so much more. And it's all esoteric when you understand. So talking about emotions, we talk about how you feel, which is everything. It's everything when you understand. Emotions could cause you to be happy and run out and do something inspirational that's going to benefit your life, or it can cause you to kill yourself, cause you to end your life or end others' lives. It's a big deal. So we don't look at how important that is, how big emotions is. It's everything. So something affecting how you feel affects your life. And we just don't make this connection with music and everything else, and how what is being put into us is affecting our reality on how we act and think and how we move. You saw something that inspired you and it caused you to go do something that made you rich and successful, or poor and broke, or put you in prison, or caused your death from emotions. So that's powerful. If you can control that, you can control the people, you can control the world, you control everything. So understanding that, how powerful that is, and that this third eye and, this, your hippocampus and all of these hormone secretions control you. And if somebody can control that and they can control you, that's power. Back in the day, they would call that witchcraft because they understood this deeply. They just erased it from history, that you actually had people out there trying to enforce this, not so much morally, but just as a, hey, This is fucking witchcraft. These people are trying to control you with this doctrine and what they're saying to you. It's influencing you and it's causing you to react from it emotionally. They're controlling you. So when we say religion is brainwashing and all, this is what we mean. It's somebody giving you messages that's really affecting what your mind, and you're reacting from it. And we all heard the term, I'm a morning person or a night person. It's a whole field called chronobiology, right? Where it's talking about these things and how it's being regulated throughout the body. And you have, way back in the day, this dealt with day and night, of course, and just how people's mood would change morning and night. Some people, they're night owl. They go out more active at night. They do so much at night. And you have people during the day who's just, summertime, daylight outside the sun, you moving, you're doing everything. So darkness, light. So in the world of enlightenment and just being spiritual, darkness is everything. Darkness is everything. Being in the dark is how you become enlightened. Understand what I'm saying? It's enlightenment. It's everything. It's power in the darkness. But they made you scared of the dark for a reason. So I talked about back in ancient Egypt how you had a whole, in the mystery school, the high priests, or what they would call them, their day started at night. The people who did observations of what we call the heavens or what have you, their day began at night, if you understand what I'm saying. So, they would sleep during sun up, and when sundown came, this is when they started, because they understood the power of being in darkness. And then if you're in darkness and you're meditating in darkness and the heavens is basically open where you can see the stars, there's a super spiritual connection. You understand? That's why when we see all these rituals, there's darkness. And they made it a spooky setting for a reason, to scare you away from this stuff, because they don't want you understanding true power. So with meditation, it is key to go in and be in darkness and everything that I talk about, because this is all dealing with the pineal gland. They told you meditation was evil and all that stuff like that. Oh, you yoking and you're going in and you opening yourself up for demons. Yeah, you are. Of course you are, because the demons are you. The demons, meaning by what that means is, one, when you're alone with yourself, you're real with yourself. This is why people can't meditate for a long time. I talked about this in the meditation series. Can't meditate for a long time because when you're alone with yourself and you're thinking, the real shit pops in. Damn, rent is almost due. Bills is due. I got to do this. I'm fucking all the evil shit you do, you're thinking about. You're in your brain, and the bad shit you're thinking about, the problems you're thinking about. And some people just can't be alone with themselves in the dark. It's scary because the real shit comes out. And they don't want to deal with that. So they made it a spooky set, and a lot of people don't want to deal with it because they understand what that entails. So this whole, chronobiology, just dealing with the seasons, so they could see that, summertime, of course, we're out, we're vibrant. Everybody's running around. It's fun time. It's playtime. Winter is cold. It gets dark faster, right? And over time, people develop seasonal affective disorder. And seasonal affective disorder is like, wintertime and it's not much sun and people moods will change. They will become seasonal affective disorder, SAD, SAD. That's what that stands for. We say SAD all the time. A lot of people don't know that stands for something, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, SAD. So this was a whole field. This is a whole field. Chronobiology, and it's talking about how seasons change. Wintertime, people get sick. It's dark more. You in house more. You're alone by yourself more. It's a lot more to deal with, and it's a sad time for people because a lot of time people don't want to deal with that. As I just said, they want to deal with themselves and deal with reality and everything during this time. But more than any time of the year, the winter is when you got to get shit done. That's how it always was. Wintertime, I would work a million jobs if I could. Work, grind, hustle, save. So when the summer comes, I got plenty of money, I could just go party. So a lot of times people just don't know why they're sad or why their emotions change through the seasons. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people have to take melatonin in the wintertime to deal with sleepiness or what have you because of norepinephrine. And I talked about norepinephrine, fight or flight hormone, of course, but it also has to deal with your sleep, that process. So you have with the norepinephrine, you have the secretion of melatonin is in response to norepinephrine, the hormone. So in response to that, which norepinephrine, it'll make you sleepy, it causes sleepiness. So in response to that, you have this secretion of melatonin from the pineal gland, and you have dopamine receptors that's on the outside of the pineal gland that works with norepinephrine to basically detract this melatonin from the bloodstream. It regulates it, and it's what causes you to wake up in the morning. So I talked about this before, the whole Saprachi asthmatic nucleus and the whole awakening and sleep process is regulated from that Saprachi asthmatic nucleus process. So as I said before, the two organs you can say that basically deals with the sun or sunlight will be, of course, your eyes and the pineal gland. So from your eyes or through your eyes, we get the sun. The sun is what wakes you up in the morning. God. People say, oh, God woke me up in the morning. Yeah, God sure did. As soon as that light hit the outside of your eyelids, that starts the process of the Saprachi asthmatic nucleus. That basically starts the process of the pineal gland releasing with the call of norepinephrine and everything like that, that hormone releasing the dopamine or releasing the melatonin, what have you, I should say, from the blood and causing you to wake up. It's a quick, fast process, but it's God, understanding that whole process. So when Jacob says Genesis 32:30, called the name of the place Pineal, I've seen God face to face. And then the Bible says no one has ever seen God. What is it talking about? This is what it's talking about. You got to make these esoteric connections because the Bible is giving you all this stuff. So people, it's hard for them to understand the spiritual understanding of the pineal gland and why you see the Pope walking around with the pine cone and all the symbolism with Christianity and the sun and the pineal gland is right there. It has to do with spirituality. It's what real spirituality comes from. So the Pope, they know what's going on. These religious people understand what's going on. So we have the methyltryptamine, you on an acid trip, or when we say you're tripping, oh man, you tripping. That's where it comes from. The methyltryptamine. So this is another hormone that basically is regulated through the pineal gland. And what the methyltryptamine, you have so many drugs that stimulates this, and acid and LSD and so much stuff that causes, it's what really is triggered when you have mushrooms or what have you, and all this stuff that puts you on a trip, that sends you into crazy moods or what have you. So the methyltryptamine it's what basically deals with the dream world. It deals with anybody who had like near-death experience. A lot of research done on this. Near-death experiences, religious experiences. So when you see people having the Holy Ghost and all that stuff and flipping out, we just think they acting crazy. They don't even know that they triggered this in the brain with the methyltryptamine through the pineal gland and them just becoming so spiritual. It's a powerful thing. And when people look at it, that's why they like, oh yeah, God done touched you. You understand what I'm saying? God done touched you. That's why you flipping out like that, stuff where you don't understand what's going on, so you have no control. When people do it, it's a powerful thing that they don't even understand. And it turns into foolishness, nonsense. It's just a waste of a super amazing experience that, is sad. It's messed up because you have no idea where to center this energy to benefit you. And for the people who reach these stages through religious experiences, it's such a profound thing to have happen to you. And you come out of it and people really feel like, yo, it makes you feel like that. Like God touched me or God did something to me. It's one of the reasons why it's hard for us to break this connection people have with Christianity, because when they have these experiences, it's so profound, it's so spiritual. You can't separate that from a person when they have it. And it's one of the reasons why, it's tough to argue with Christians, because when they feel this, they know what they felt. And it's a hallucination. That's the crazy part. You tripping, the methyltryptamine, because you don't even understand what's going on. When we see it done correctly with voodoo or what have you, you understand what's going on, the connection between that and energy, They understand it. They use it correctly. And yeah, somebody in the church on the corner of 52nd Street or what have you out there flipping out and thinking that they felt God, and they go out sinning. And after that, what is that? That's you corrupting everything spiritual about this situation. And that energy is going to bullshit. That's why we got churches in the hood everywhere, and ain't shit happening positive for the hood. All this power energy happening at that place that is being put to no use for us economically or really spiritually. It's messed up, and it's what it was created for that reason. Them knowing how powerful we are, what we can do, and what we can trigger within ourselves, but having that energy go to something that's going to not be beneficial to us as a people at all. It's going to be stupid, craziness, foolishness. So this is in you. So you look at the ancient Egyptians and how they studied the mind. I told you guys, the pyramids themselves represents the brain. The way it's built has to deal with the brain. Even the whole resonant, the frequency, all of the energy it puts out as far as the negative ions, all the stuff I got into in previous videos. Your brain it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And you have this so much energy just being, coming from that power center. And it's one of the reasons why meditation is key. So I always talk about, because you have this process of this energy going up and down the spine. Your spine, the base of the spine opening and closing to allow energy to flow. This is a 12-hour process you have of this energy that needs to make like a cycle. It's one of the reasons why they have, we talking about Kundalini energy. It's why they have the caduceus, the medical caduceus with the two serpents, and then the pine cone at the top in some cases, or the ball at the top, which represents the pine cone. But that serpentine energy, the reptilian brain and everything of this flow of energy that happens within the body, 24 hours, 12 hours one way, 12 hours the other way. It's 24 hours. So this happens throughout the day, and it's not really happening with and it's no more because it's controlled by social media and everything else. And to go back to, the French Revolution and what took place there, what are you going to do to make sure that never happens again? Distraction. So if you can control this process of the limbic system and just understanding how the pineal gland works and controlling that process of how the amygdala, the hippocampus, and just the hypothalamus controlling how our moods and how we do shit. People killing themselves because of social media, because they're looking at scrolling through Instagram and seeing all the shit they can't and will never have, that they feel in their soul is impossible to get. And it fucks with them. It throws you emotionally out of whack. So you don't know what to do. You're trying to grab onto anything that can feed this or feel this. So twerking, or you trying to dress like a rapper or be like a rapper or be a rapper, and all that stuff that we see that they feed into us to pollute and control these energies. This is what this is about. So when you see the artist in the third eye, that's what that means. I'm one of the people in control of you. I know my role. I know what I'm doing. I know what's going on. I understand. We see the symbolism. And of course, you got to associate it with evil because what they're doing is evil, but it's in no way satanic. It's power that you don't understand, because in TV, they showed you shit coming out of people's hands and electricity and all this bullshit that got you thinking that's power. And power is, it can be unseen. We got Wi-Fi signal going, Bluetooth signal going. You can't see that shit. We have energy in the body that we can't see, but we know it's there. You can't see the soul. You can't see the energy in our brain. We know it's there. In our heart. It's a magnetic field there and here. You can't see that shit, but we know it's there. They control it. They are controlling it. So this is what this stuff is about. You can look at it as evil, of course, but satanic, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. So we got to think about these energies, and these energies being connected to different parts of the body. You have your whole endocrine system, which has to deal with basically the chakras. And this is real stuff. And people hear chakras and they think spooky. Nigga, it's you. It's real. Like, stop it. People kill me with that. The chakras is real power, energy. You got to think about the energy that travels through the spine to go to different parts of the body to animate the body, to cause you to move or what have you. This energy. It's power. And you have power centers up and down the spine that, correlates to different nerves and veins of the body, what have you. And it's a process, so this is all regulated through breath. breathing. So meditation is another thing that's key. Getting your breathing under control, and then when you, it's almost like a autonomous or automatic thing when you finally sync up perfectly with meditation, and it happens. It just takes over, and just like when you sleep. So when you go to sleep, you're not consciously breathing and what have you. Subconscious takes over and controls the body. You can do this consciously with meditation. You've been doing it for over 13 years like me. It happens. And this is how you control your moods. This is how you control your thoughts and the direction you go in life. Program yourself. See, again, going back to the French Revolution, American Revolution, they understood what happened, especially with the French Revolution, and how, philosophy, consciousness basically took down an entire fucking empire, entire kingdom, killed the king and queen. The people took over. Think about that. They seen that. So never again. We got to control that shit. And you guys been seeing the videos popping up in, up and down the timeline lately of how smart they were, 1800s, early 1900s. They invented so much shit we don't have it today. We don't have it. They had flying cars at one point. We don't have it today. You guys seen them inventions of the guy with the big wheel car, and just so many inventions that they had that when you look at them, they're amazing stuff. And that was suppressed. All that stuff had to stop, because before television and everything like that, we had time to read books and be in our mind. And then the understanding of enlightenment and being, a philosopher, and just being in your thoughts and your mind was huge. And, remember, even if you go back to Titanic, the movie, just in the movie part, everything was about this society, not just about money. It was a sense of knowledge and enlightenment, associated with that. As I talk about with music, when you look at classical music, it's association with refinement and wealth. And we see these people and these white people get dressed up, and this is intelligence. It's built into all of us. We all have it, but they corrupted it in us, which is why hip hop, is us. Oh yeah, black people, we're so proud of it and everything like that. And hip hop is destroying us because we're proud of it. We're proud of it, and we're happy to have it, and we think it's us, and we want to associate us with such negativity and shit that's keeping us down. And you arguing with people to basically save them from what's destroying us. And it's crazy. And, a lot of people who watched the video, the lecture at UNLV, like I said, my point was proven, just in how the panel was reacting and the questions that was asked. You can understand, my point was proven already, and, what was talked about in the video, just watch the video, you see what happened. I proved my point, and they proved my point for me. But this is what we're dealing with. This is our argument, our fucking reality. It's this consciousness that's rooted in hip hop culture, and it's completely different from the fucking Renaissance and goddamn Age of Enlightenment and what took place with the French Revolution. There will be no revolution. You got some people that's out here conscious and we doing that, but we got to argue with the religious people and the hip hop people and the people who just think they know everything. And it's just like, who cares? As long as we don't win, that's all they care about. And they have so much power and control and influence over everybody. This is what, what it is. But I want people to understand that, pineal gland is not something that's evil, and third eye is not something that is evil, no matter what type of symbolism they want to put over it. People seeing the last Doctor Strange movie with the, eye open up on his forehead, and every time we see something, they showed you that to look like, it's evil. And anybody who's in comic books or what have you, that's one of Doctor Strange things later on. In the comic books, he has that third eye, so it's powerful. So you got to understand, a lot of this stuff is put out there to scare you, to spook you. Voodoo, all this stuff that's, sorcery and everything that's made to be evil, it's real power. Just to keep you away from that knowledge and understanding it. And this is why all this stuff was outlawed or considered demonic or what have you with the church, because they didn't want that knowledge being in the hands of the people anymore, because of, what happened. And because they know it's real power and real understanding that they want, just, relegated or just talked about only in secret societies and held by them. So that 1% has this knowledge and this power and everything to have influence over all of us, which they do. And that's what they want. They don't want you knowing this shit. So at the same time, They can't stop it. They can only influence, and that's what this is. It can influence you to, put your attention into something else, and that's what's happening. That's what's taking place. Nothing to do with the biblical Satan and demons or what have you. Demons are within you. Satan is within you. It's just the same as God. This is light and darkness. That's the next DVD coming out too, on light and darkness and water. We're gonna get into this. Why you have Avatar, The Way of Water, and you look at the new Black Panther movie having to deal with the water people. There's so much, it's they're smart, yo. There's so much into that. Just understanding water and light and darkness and this deep shit. We're gonna get into that in the next DVD, because it's a lot to get into. But this is just, we don't want to put out. Again, I have so many videos. I get into this information. But you guys need to know, for the people who had the questions, who hit me up about this stuff, and just understanding that, it's a whole big discussion. And, people pull me into discussions all the fucking time, especially family members and friends. They'll call me, yo, I got another one. You got this Hebrew on the line. You talk to this brother. And, it happens a lot. But I had to really mediate a fucking huge argument on the third eye being Satan's eye. It's the eye of Sauron. It's the eye that's on the back of the dollar. I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny when you know. But I get it. I understand, why people will believe that. And the consciousness that's put out there for you to accept this. And again, this deals with what you're taking in and what's being put out there that we don't control. This is so sophisticated on a level that you can't comprehend what's taking place, because we're so saturated in it, and it's just so normal to us. Our daily life of us listening and watching and accepting and receiving what we're seeing and everything, and how it's influencing everything. And people just don't want to fucking admit it, because it's like admitting you wrong or that you was tricked. Nobody want to admit that they was tricked and they feel stupid. You know what I'm saying? So people just suppress it and move on, whatever. And then it's constant. So, there's no way to take time to reflect on what happened to you to deal with it, because you're constantly being bombarded with the shit. This is what we say when we're conscious. A lot of you motherfuckers talking about being conscious. You ain't conscious at all. You're not. You just saying it because you think you read some shit. You think you know some shit. It's so deep than that. So deeper than that. It encompasses so much. And a lot of people have no clue. But pineal gland is you, God is you, Satan is you. It's about balance. And as soon as you find that balance within yourself and learn how to balance it and balance you and balance these energies and balance what's being put out there, you'll be straight. It's one of the reasons why the Bible said, basically don't be in this world. Separate yourself from it. That's one of the reasons why in Buddhism, they live the way they live, the monks. And they separate themselves from all this stuff. But then they starting to realize now that there has to be a balance. But this is why we're seeing monks out in, New York, Vegas here, handing out beads and on airplanes and stuff now. You see them at the airport, monks, because they're starting to realize that there's a balance. It's a balance that you have to be interactive with. This world is here for a reason. You must interact with it. And you have to have this spiritual balance and this physical balance, nirvana, reaching it. So you had a lot of monks, and we've seen this before, where they just be in meditation for days, and then they die. And it's basically like your God energy or your subconscious being done with you when you reach nirvana. Everybody thinks it's this huge, no disrespect to anybody that's Buddhist or what have you, but it's your subconscious saying, you know what, this guy gets it. And there's no point in being in this body, because him in this incarnation is not going to do what we need him to do. He's going to be in the state of enlightenment. And you have these, I talked about the dopamine receptors around the pineal gland. And when I just said you're in this state of meditation and you have this constant flow of Kundalini energy going through and stimulating the pineal gland, you don't want to leave that, because in this state, you have everything. You have everything. You're there. So there's no point of being physical anymore. So you reach nirvana and you go, and they come back, So it's deeper than that, but still, not all of them come back. It's a good thing, but you know, you have to have this balance to make it right, to make it a real full connection. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch, and thanks to everybody who took advantage of the never pay again sale. Yeah, make sure you guys take advantage of it if it's still available. Not sure if it's still up, but it's going to be gone soon. And yeah, more videos to come. See you guys next video.